Hi guys. So today we'll talk about two most widely adopted software architecture, that is monolith. One is microservice. So first we'll talk about monolith. Okay. So what is monolith? Monolith architecture is nothing but, as I told you, that all the code, it might be UI, it might be backend, DB, database layer. So all these, I mean DB layer, I would say, business logic layer and UI layer. So all these layers will be clubbed into one single code base. Okay. So one single code base. Okay. And from this particular single code base, one executable files will be prepared, okay, while building, and this executable file will be deployed into the server. So and this executable file will be deployed into the server to run these applications. Okay, this will be the applications, right? So the complete app will be into one single executable file, and this single executable files will be deployed into a server to run these applications. Okay. Now just think about it. So when the applications load will grow, just think about it, just for an assumptions, Flipkart is an applications, right? So in a big billion days, more people are logging in for discount, right? Suppose 10,000 more people logged in every single minute to access Flipkart applications. So the load on this server will be highly increased, right? So to handle, maybe one particular server may not able to handle this load, right? So what you need to do? You need to adopt the scalability. Okay. So right, there are two types of scalability. One is horizontal scalability, another is vertical scalability. So for this case, either we can do, what you can do, we can increase the server limit, right? We can increase the server limit. Earlier maybe the server was having 4 GB RAM, maybe you are increasing the server memory as a 16 GB RAM. I'm just assuming, right? So instead of that, if you want to opt for horizontal scalability, you have to add another one server, right? So now you added another server 2, I mean server 1. So in this server 2 also, the whole executable files, this exe files, you have to deploy into server 2 also. Now you may ask, right? So okay, how the load will distribute. So we will talk about later. There will be load balancer who will distribute the load. Okay, this load balancer will take the load first and it will distribute. But my point to raise just for your attention is, we are deploying the same executable file in server 1 and server 2, and later on to handle more load, you may add more server also, right? But what will happening, right? But just think of situations. You are opening Flipkart, you may not able to order, right? You may not order it, right? So you may not go to the payment page, you are just searching and checking the price. So the load on only search and checking price may be increased in this particular time. Even though only one part of the code base, maybe your one part of the functionality load is more, even though this is more, you are deploying the whole applications into multiple server. So this is why in monolith applications, right, there is a waste of resource. Okay, in terms of scalability, you have to make scalable the whole application instead of the part of the applications, right? So this is one problem. What is the another problem? Another problem with monolith is, you have a single code base, clubbed all the files, right? Suppose multiple developers working, in these applications, right? Just think about it. You have a monolith applications where all your code base is clubbed into one particular app, right? One particular code base. Now 10 developers 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 developers are working into these applications. Just think of it. One developer is working on one file which may be used by another file which is getting changed by second developer. Same way, so there will be always an interdependency in terms of development, right? So definitely the development will be slower. Right? This is another problem of monolith, right? The next thing, next thing is, what is the next cons is, so just think about it, right? Suppose you have changed only one file, you have tasked only one file, but as you are deploying one executable file into the server, before you push to productions, you have to do a regression testing in the whole application functionality. Even though you touch only one part, but just to be sure, just to be safe, you have to do the regression testing of whole applications, because this is one executable file, right? So these are few cons are there. Pros also are there, because the deployment complexity will be much less, right? And there will be, no communications lag, right? Because the executable file into one executable, the executable service in one executable file. So any load which is taking will be processed by the same server, right? Same server. So the load, the communications lag will not be that much, right? And the cost of applications also, development, deployment also will be little less. So this is the pros and cons on a high level, in a practical wise, in monolith applications, right? So another thing, if you have worked in any applications, right, when the application size grows, right, the build time also grows, right? So even though you changed only one file, just to test this, you have to build the whole application. So the build time will be huge, right? Then you have to deploy into the applications, then you have to start the application and test it. So this way, it is very, very time consuming in any monolith application to test any particular functionality. But when it comes to microservice, as I told in the last lecture also, what is microservice? Microservice is a modules of, is a micro means what? I'll come to this. Okay, what is the micro? Micro means small, right? So small service, okay. So what we will do? We will separate our capability of the applications into smaller services, right? So again, I will take the same example of Flipkart, right? So in Flipkart, what are the possible things are there? One is order, right? People will order some details, right? Second is the payment, right? So payment, you will do the payment, right? So another is the order tracking. You will have to track your order, right? So these are the basic things you will do, right? And fourth things is, for seller, this is a consumer perspective, right? For consumer perspective, these are the activities, minimum activities you will be doing. For seller perspective, just think about what are the things. What are the things? Entry of products. So this is also they are going to do, right? So products, right? And fifth thing is, tracking delivery, okay? Tracking delivery, seller will track the delivery, right? From their perspective, and consumers will be tracking from order tracking from their perspective, right? Maybe there are two different type of delivery tracking services that Flipkart may providing for seller and consumer, right? So now, for what will happen in case of monolith, everything will be clubbed into one particular applications. Now when it comes to microservice, what is happening, right? For order, we will build one applications that is called order service, right? As I told earlier also. For payment, one thing is like payment service, right? Payment service. There are different applications. There are two different applications. Order tracking service. Maybe you are building like order tracking service, right? So maybe the product service, like that you build this product service. So just to make things very simple to understand, I am limiting to this 4 microservice. One is the order service, another is the payment service, another is the order tracking service, another is the product service. So what you are doing in the microservice, again I am telling, you are segregating your capability into multiple services. Now what will happen now, right? Your order service, payment service, order tracking service and product service will be independently deployable. Maybe what that means, independently development, independent deployment. What happens? So suppose you are doing development in order service, so your development will be restricted to the order service, right? And your deployment will be restricted to the order service. You may not need to do touch payment, order tracking and product service because you are not touching them, right. So first of all, the development will be much faster, the deployment will be much easier in this case, right. Another thing is, suppose you have a 10 members of team, right. One member can work on your order services changes, another member can work in your product services changes, another member can work in your order tracking services changes. So what will happen? Interdependency of the services will not affect the whole delivery, right. And from the testing perspective, what will happen, right? Suppose someone is working on this order service, they will have to do only test the order service. They may not have to test the product services, right? So the testing utilizations budget will be very less and time consumed for testing will also be very less in case of microservices. So there are a lot of benefits of using microservices like this, and what is the best benefit is the scalability. What do you mean by scalability, right? So in Flipkart, another thing is the search service. So what will happen in this search service? So it will help you to search your product from the product directory. Just think of in the big billion days, your maximum things, like maximum load in the search, right? Maximum load in the search of the product, right? What is the price of the product? So just think of it. So in big billion days, you may scale these search services into multiple servers, right? Suppose the search service you may scale into 1000 servers, maybe product service, product entry service may not need to scale, right? Whoever the seller, he may already added the product, right, before big billion days. So product services may not need to scale this much, they may need to scale to three pods or something like that, right? Order services, order tracking services, that also on that same day may not need to scale this much because order you will track only when it get placed, right. So the big billion days is over, then only you will start tracking it. So you may not need to scale this so much, right. Payment services, you have to scale it because whenever people are coming, they will make order. So you may have to scale it into 100 pods. 100 pods means like 100 independently running software, pods, I will tell you in later, just think of 100,000 servers, okay. So order service also you may need to scale it because people will order. So the order tracking and the product service you may not need to scale that much. So the wastage of the resources will not be that much, right, and cost will also be little less, right. So what will be the cons now, right? Just think about it, okay. Someone doing the order, right? So this is order service, someone doing the order. After order, someone doing the order, after order, what will go? They will go to the payment service, right? After payment service, it will go to the order tracking service. Just think about it, the flow of the applications, right? So now these are two independent running applications. This is one application, this is another application, this is another application. So many applications are running, right, in this. So in this architecture. So now communications between two microservices is little costly, okay, because it has to go through any protocol like HTTPS, right. So the architecture is very complex in this, right. Architecture is very complex because you are, the actual process flow starts from here, it goes to here, then 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 it returns again coming back, right. So what is happening? The complexity of the data flow will be difficult to track. So what happens in microservices? Debugging is difficult than monolith, okay, because the logs will be in multiple applications, right. There is a solution to these also. You can use some log streaming and you can take the logs to any Kibana or any log stress engine, okay. So but it is difficult, debugging will be little difficult, right. So another pros also is there. Suppose these services went down, okay, So what will happen? At least these services will be running up and running. But in Monolith, at least in one issues in the code base will make the whole application down, right, in Monolith. But in microservices, if one part of the application gets down, only that part will be get down, right? No other part will get down. Just think about it. Suppose payment services had some issues now, right? Payment services had some issues now. So what will happen? At least order services will come into payment, right? At least they can order through cash on delivery, right? And the order track will start. But Flipkart will not stop. Just think about it. If something happens in this Monolith one, right? If everything is in the same application, the whole application will crash, right? It will not allow you to enter even, right? The whole applications will crash, right? It will not up and running. So this is the basic difference between the monolith and microservice architecture. In the next lecture, we will start thinking about event-driven architecture. Okay, so event-driven architecture is mostly used in this microservices architecture. So it's very highly integrated. Okay, so we'll talk about it in the next lecture. Thank you so much.